Today's Friday, August 24th, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Sea broadcast system, the Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Now's the time to call your friends. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History series. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, hate, nor legal advice. Good morning, Lynn, and thank you for the heads up. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And good morning, Mew Mew and Lydia, and of course, Lynn. And all of you out there. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio in the heart of Amish country and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series with the great lies of history, symbolism, the ABCs of light, book and movie reviews, the words that they killed us with, the words that they killed on the piracy of words. It's all right here, ladies and gentlemen. The original gospel with Yah Love, okay? And I'll be reading of the other original gospel, chapter 9 today as well. And that's because we are the deprogramming program. And somebody's got to do it, ladies and gentlemen, because it is the battle for the mind. But the truth is light, and ignorance, it is darkness. And these are the great antagonists, the one against the other. Good morning, Yah Love. Good to have you. And once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing really more to complain about. We just have to come to terms with the way it actually is, ladies and gentlemen. And that's sometimes not an easy pill to swallow, but nonetheless, we've got to get it down. You don't know what you don't know until you listen in. And it is the great truth unfolding. For of all things that great civilizations can create, the only thing that they cannot create, it is light. But they sure do a good job of pretending it, don't they? Absolutely. And if you don't know where you're going, then you know any road will get you there. So just hop on a bus and good luck. But the best way to identify the truth is to identify the great lies of history, and that's what we do right here 7 days a week. And don't forget, it takes 1,000,000 lies to cover that first lie. In the beginning is the Word, and the Word is the Shavor, and the Shavor is Yahweh. And that is what we are going to share with you today, as usual, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, the Greek said logo. And welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. And the duality of dualities and the dark and the light interplaying, mixing together and getting everybody confused. But in the beginning is the Word, and the word is the Shavor. The Shavor, and the Shavor is Yahweh, because it said the word is God. Well, that's all a corruption. And it's the Shavor is Yahweh. The word is Yahweh, not was, always will be. So they've had fun mixing our terminology up into a great ball of confusion, and then most people are stuck on the merry-go-round just reading the the words, the shavors that they gave to them, and a shavor is also a shower, and therefore it makes you want to cry at times. So it's the grand deception, it's the grand illusion, and we've got to pierce that veil. And I just want to thank all of you for tuning in. This wonderful group of people that comes here every day is a great motivator for me. You give me greater hope in people and mankind, because it's a cruel world out there, and then to one day stumble upon a group of people that actually, as I used to use the cliche, give a damn, and care about their world and life is just a fantastic thing, because most people don't care. More people are waking up, and very often they wake up at the worst time because they became a victim of some grand scheme, typically by government or its agents. So it's always by agents. It has to be the order takers, and then they become advocates for relief for others at times, and like they said, they came for this group of people, but I wasn't one of them, so I didn't say nothing. And they came for this group of people, then I wasn't one of those, so I didn't say anything. And then finally nobody was left, and then they came for me. And so for some it was health food regulation, or it was gun regulation, or it was other medical type of practices that they were implying. I like that word practice. It's like, okay, so when are they going to get it right? They're always practicing, right? Always practicing, but never get it right. And that's because the system is not right. It's all broke. It's all broke. So so it's a dark world, and we've got to work our way through the darkness, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'm just glad to share. I'm so grateful that the Heavenly Father of Light allows me to share with you what's so important to me. It's life for me, and it's a long process of unfolding, because the great patterns of the duality and revealed in nature is so deep, it's so thick, the web that they wove. Even when people think they have figured it out, right? Like maybe just because they woke up to the sky, and then they got that down, right? But but the waking up is a continual process. When I went to these patriot movements, everybody thought, well, they woke up, because they figured out that government was out to get them. The government hated their guts, was doing everything to harm society, not to serve and protect society, and so they think because they became part of the patriot movement, then they're a part of the great wake up, and it's and they still hadn't figured out the majority of the rest of the truth, the greater truth, the whole truth, not part of the truth, but the whole truth. And so there's really no way to do it. In my book, there's only one way to do it, and that is to be connected with the one who made all things, because the one who made all things reveals all things. You see, because he was there at the beginning. He made all things, and therefore it's his great operation that unfolds within creation. And so there's no way you can know, because he said, since he is the revealer, he is the tree of knowledge. He said, there's nothing unknown that cannot be known. There's nothing in secret that cannot be revealed. Wow, what an amazing statement. Nothing, because that is the way the universe is designed. But we have to get to 0 point, and 0 point is what the scripture says, not what other people say, not what the politician, right? Or and we're supposed to prove all things. So not just what our, the pastor, or the Jesuits at the pulpit are saying. We've got to prove it. We can't just think 45 minutes a day on Sunday is going to transcend us and give us enlightenment. That's only the introduction to something that is great. But then you'll be beyond that, okay? And so yeah, it's a tough world, ladies and gentlemen, to overcome, and we just we need to make sense out of things. So I'm what I bring in my reading every day with the dictionary on scriptures and myths, and the book on symbols, and then the Nag Hammadi and Philo. These are my reads, okay? I'm reading for you what I would be reading by myself if I weren't broadcasting. So I'm sharing with you what is most important to me, what I'm trying to wrap my mind around in order to transcend this world, to escape a very diabolical and very wicked world that wants to suck your life blood out of you and you have nothing left. And Yalav, you're saying thank you, Desert, for teaching us the depth of the Shavors of the Shultres. That's right, the Shultres. That's that's where you get the word sutures from. You see, there's the original thought, Shultres, and that shul means knowledge, and that's what we find in the original word of Yeshua is Yeshulva. Yeshulva means the knowledge of the serpent. What is the serpent? The entire universe is the serpent. You're the serpent. The sun is the serpent. And if you don't know the serpent, then that's why Moshe El put it up on a cross and told everybody, if you can see the serpent, you can live. You see? Went around the camp. Everybody had the sting of death. You got the sting of death if you've not been raised from the dead yet by Yeshua. Because he wants to say, Lazarus, come forth. Ray of light, come forth. Because we're dead in the world. And thank you for that comment, Yalav. It's great. I'd like to type these words on there, and I can't talk and type at the same time. So I do appreciate those little influences there so people can see and read it for themselves. So the Shultres, then the Trey is the three. That's the sun, earth, and moon. The tree of life, the tree of knowledge. Trey is tree, Trey is three, and the tray has everything on it. The tray is our creation. It's a tray. It's beautiful. Everything is on it. And what you need, you can take off. Good morning, Jenny. Glad to have you. And so Shultres then in the evolved corrupted form became sutures. Why sutures? Wow. And when they sew you up after you've been cut, they get the sutures going. Why? Because they tie the Shultres, the scriptures tie everything together. That's what it means. The Shultres, the sutures tie everything together. You see, it's right there in the original thought. You got it here first, ladies and gentlemen, because I've never heard anyone anywhere at any time ever use the word Shultres other than yours truly, okay? Because this is the stuff that's been hidden from us. They smashed our intellectual diction. The flames, the royal swords of fire, they broke. They broke the steel. And then they remolded it into something of clay, right? And the clay and the steel don't mix. That was the bottom of the statue. Said iron. There was iron and clay, but it's really steel, because steel is pounded iron. And if you pound the iron, you pound out all the atoms, the carbon atoms, and then you get steel. And it's far stronger. Iron breaks like a cast iron breaks, but steel is tough. And that's what we have to become. Steel, and not mixed with the clay. That's what the feet at the image. At the end of time was 2,000 years ago. And in that vision of Daniel, that was Nebuchadnezzar's vision. And he said at the end of time that the feet would be made of steel and clay, but they would not mix. They would not mix. So we have to be separate people. That's what we were told in the script. Be ye a separate people, and I will have supper with you. Separate yourselves. Okay? And so because it's not a part of any lie. The truth is not a part of any lie, and that's all we see are lies and deceit and deception, misinformation, disinformation, confusion, people saying things that they don't know what all they're doing is repeating something else somebody said. That's all. They never figured anything out in their entire life. They're repeating what other people have told them, what they have heard on the boob tube and the YouTube, okay? Because there's a lot of information out there, and it's really great. You know what? But there's, like half of it or more than half of it appears to be disinformation. And so how do you determine what's true and what's not? You have to become a journalist like me. That's what I had to become. I became a journalist, a scholar. Okay. And but still, if you're not connected, it don't matter. You can be a journalist, you can be a scholar, but if you're not connected with the one who made all things, then you're still out in left field. Okay. and you have no life. And so he breathes into us. And what is the breathing? When you wake up from the dead, what happens? You open your eyes. You can see. You can see. And methaim is truth seekers. And what is the original word for disciples is mathaim, and mathaim is truth seekers. Math, there's the word for math, the original word for truth. Math is truth. Why? Because numbers don't lie, right? As they say, liars figure, but figures don't lie. Okay, math does not lie, and that's why it's the original word for truth. And mathaim means truth seekers. Okay, they're seeking the light. Okay, let there be light. And thank you, Yalav, again. And so, so I wanted to do a little read this morning of what I was reading in my Farrar Fenton scriptures, because it's amazing. Farrar Fenton was the only one who got that the fact that he actually was the one who figured out. Well, and then he didn't figure out. He read it. He read it. Okay, in the Hebrew, in the original, the most ancient Hebrew, not the original, because there are no originals, but the most ancient. And he saw it in there where Isaiah was claiming that he had written the first books of Samuel and Kings. Okay, he wrote the history, and that may have included, I have to go back and read now again, but it may have included the book of Judges. Okay, and so it was Isaiah, misspelled as Isaiah, Isaiah, who gave us those histories. The history of Yisrael was given to us by Isaiah. Makes sense he's called Isaiah when you realize he gave us the history of Yisrael, right? So anyway, so then he saw that Isaiah was part poetry. It was written in odes with every line being an algorithm of like a poem. Okay, and so that's how he broke up the chapters. Within the chapters are the odes. And so I was reading this morning Ode 54, and it goes like this. It's fantastic. I just couldn't get over it. When you get back to original thought and you get back to the best transliteration, then you just feel like you're reading the scriptures for the first time. Let me just take a sip of my throat tonic here, and I'll be right with you. And want to welcome any new listeners on the broadcast. Glad to have you tuned in. We're trying to make sense out of a bad world. We've been offered eternal life, and instead what we discovered, we all found out, was we got eternal nonsense with the people running our world, from religion to politics to just include all sciences, right? Whether it's astronomy or whether it's I like this one, meteorologist. Okay, what part of meteors has to do with the weather? Meteorologists, are they trying to tell us something? Like when you scour your tub, you use comet. They want us to remember their comets are going to come scour the earth, and they use comet to scour the tub. How that happen? How they name that one like that? I think about it. So everything is lying to us. Our education, educate means to remove, like an editor. ED means to remove. It's not AD as in to add something, but it is ED as in to remove something. E is a negative code that replaced the A and the O. The A and the O were the original. And the I and the E are the deception in the code, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Not that the E doesn't work sometimes, but the I, throw the I away. That's a blind eye. The little dot on top is the moon, and the stick is the horizon. It's the moon coming over the horizon. The occultism, the occultic. I didn't get that message, Ninja. I'm sorry. Not new, but what? Okay. All right. You got your little kumquats there and hearts. I don't know what that all means, but I do. Thank you. Okay. So on 54 and chapter 58 of Isaiah, or Isaiah 58. Okay. If you want to follow along and compare how different it is, this is a good way to do that. So it's titled "The Proclamation Against Sin," which means sin means to have your eyes closed, and okay, and therefore and also darkness or blindness. These are all the modern expressions of that word sin. Okay, And so shout, roar, unrestrained like a trumpet. Lift your voice and declare my people their crimes. Oh, declare to my people their crimes. Oh, geez. Okay, that's why I guess they were annihilated, right? Because they were criminals. They had committed crimes. And good morning, Christina. Yeah, you're here for the first time. Welcome. Just buckle in, okay? You're going to hear some things you hadn't heard anywhere. And unless you go back to the beginning, where I unloaded my first 2 weeks, starting June 21st, I unloaded all the things nobody else is talking about in a 2-week period, okay? And so I refer a lot to that, back to that, because a lot of the friends that are listening in right now have been with me from the beginning of that broadcast, so they know where I'm coming from when I use certain terminology. So if you want to get up to speed on many of the great mysteries, what nobody's talking about, just go check it out. That's called the Premier Edition, and it starts June 21st right here on the Real Public, on the Forbidden History series. So glad to have you. Wonderful people here. And okay, so where was I? So, okay, let me try it again. Isaiah 58, Ode 54. Shout, roar, unrestrained like a trumpet. Lift your voice and declare to my people their crimes. To the household of the seed of light. Jacob is the code. They got the word Jacob there, but that's a code for seed of light. They don't want you to get the picture that we are supposed to be seed of light. Okay? And another way of saying it would be seed of the sun, because all things came out from the light, from the sun. And okay, so to the household of the seed of light, in their closing of their eyes. Yet there are those, yet daily they seek and love learning my path, like a race doing right, not forgetting the great Elohim's pure shelter. They seek my equitable pure shelter laws, and with the joy of enlightenment approach the great Elohim. Say, we fast, but you see not. We starve, but you do not know. Why? Because on your fast day, you meet for your pleasure, and you drive on your workmen. You fast for contention. Your fasting to strike with hard fists is not fasting. What a day when you make your loud voices to be heard. Is the fast I approve such as this, meant to torture their bodies a day, to hang down like a bulrush their head, to make sackcloth and ashes their bed? Call it fast day and pleasing the great Yahweh. Is not this the fast I approve? To free those who are wrongfully bound, and to loosen your slaves from their yoke, and to seek out and free the oppressed, and that you should remove every wrong, and to give to the famished food, and the poor wanderers to bring to your house, and those whom you see naked to clothe, and to hide not yourselves from your kind. Then your light would break forth like the morn, and your wings up on high would spread out, and before you your bounty would march, with the Yahweh's power guarding your rear. You should call, and the Yahweh would reply. You should shout, and he answer, I am here. If oppression you cast from your breast, and scorn's finger and slandering lie, when you share with the hungry your bread, and you comfort the body in pain, your light will shoot out from the dark, and your sunset to splendor be turned, and the life would forever direct, and in deserts your body refresh, and the stiffness remove from your joints, and make you like a field by a brook, and near rippling unfailing streams. Then your offspring shall build up the ruins, and raise old foundations anew, and call you the repairers of the wall, the restorer of safety to roads. On the Shabbats you hold back your foot, and make my only true anointed pure great breath of light day your delight, and declare that my rest is a pleasure, to worship Yahweh with respect, and by forming your path, do it honor, not seeking your pleasure or trade, thus delighting yourself with Yahweh. You shall ride on the heights of the earth and feed on the portion of the seed of light, your father. Not Jacob, your father, the seed of light, your father. Who's that? Yahweh. Mispronounced as Yahweh. Yahweh. Or in our regular scriptures, Lord. No, that's English. Yahweh, the original. Your father, the seed of light. That sun symbolizes the seed of light. So Yahweh's mouth has declared. Now, is that not an ode, ladies and gentlemen? That is an ode. And thank you for helping Christina out there. Yeah, capital letters, Desert, D-E-Z-E-R-T. And that way I won't miss it if you're trying to figure out what some of the words we're using here. Because basically, Christina, we go back into original thought. The Heavenly Father has given me the insight into the most primitive of our communication, and that is the Indo-Germanic mother tongue preceding the Hebrew and the Greek. Okay? Preceding Hebrew and Greek by 5,000 years. I see a call coming in, but that's I know that's not for the program here. And if it is, then you tell me on the chat, because I know I've been getting sales calls from Atlanta, Georgia, and so I know that's a sales call. And I better turn up the sound because I didn't even hear that hardly. Okay. And so anyway, we're going to make lemonade out of lemons and try to make sense out of all the insanity that they put upon us, that we have to now be deprogrammed in order to be able to think and process clearly and see things with straight eyes. So real quick on the duality of the duality revealed in patterns, pictures, and nature. So I was thinking about Ruth and Naomi last night, the story of Ruth, right? Because I keep showing you that we're being told by the scriptures that it was meant that the occult, it was given that the occult were going to take over the truth because they're wicked, right? Because that's the way they do it. They clothe themselves in the light, but that's Lucifer, but she's just in darkness. I got to turn on my fan. Hang on. Okay, so here's another example of that duality in nature, right? So here we have the story of Ruth, and she's the daughter-in-law of Naomi, which is Nalome, and so Nalome has two sons, and they each have a daughter. Each are married, so she's got two daughter-in-laws. And they had to go into the foreign land where they worship Moloch in order to live and eat. In the process, her sons die, and it turns out that one of the daughters goes back to where she came from, but one of them, and good morning, Fairy Frequency, good to have you. But one of the daughters, Ruth, wants to stay with Naomi, because she knows she's alone. She lost her two sons, the heirs of her estate, and so she's going to bind with her and not go back. And yet it was Ruth who was she was a priestess in the temple of Moloch. Okay, and so when we read the story of Ruth, we find out that she's more perfect in the light, which is, the word righteous is what righteous means, perfect in the light. And so then she goes and gleans in the field and harvests the wheat. That's what we're supposed to be doing in the metaphor, in the garden, in the harvest, to be participating in the harvest of Yeshua. And so ultimately, then she's told what to do by Nalome, and she's told to go make herself available by following certain instructions of Nalome to Boaz, that because he was the next of kin, and therefore through his seed could come the rightful heir to the inheritance of that particular estate. And so this is a story then of Yeshua, right? Because this established the line of David. Okay, they had the Obed, I believe, as their son, and there's something in that word because O is true. O means true, but realize that through a temple priestess of Moloch comes our Redeemer. You see, just like out of Jericho, when the spies went into the promised land to check out the land, and they went into Jericho, then they were hidden by the harlot Rahab. They were hidden away so they would be protected, and Rahab was a harlot. And so it was a harlot that saved A.43. It was a harlot that saved Joshua, right? And so you see, what's happening is the reason we're having this discussion today is because we have a type of the truth, but we don't have the whole truth. We've been lied to, and we have to now dissect and resplice what they sliced and diced and butchered, which is our original scriptures. The occult have the pattern of immediately when they got those original scriptures in their hands, they then redrafted them, changed out the words into certain code words, took out certain segments of the story they didn't want us to read at all, and then they destroyed the originals. That's how they've been doing it from the beginning of time. Nothing new under the sun. Okay, so it's only through the light of Yeshua that this is coming to the table today, because I'm not smart enough to figure it out, right? But he kept in pattern, put me at the right place at the right time to see it, to see this, see that part, get this, open that book, find it over there. I mean, things came to me in the mysterious ways. I can't begin to tell you. Okay, so the light is in favor of us transcending and being enlightened and fulfilled, but there is a force that wants to keep us down, and that is the darkness. And yet there is nothing there. It is the grand illusion. But Yeshua, it even says in Isaiah, it says that where he says, I made the light and I made the darkness. Okay, so he takes credit for making the darkness. They serve a purpose. They serve a purpose. Okay, and so we've got to see in the metaphysics and the metaphors. Meta means beyond. Okay, beyond, meaning meta mind would mean beyond the mind. It seems beyond the mind, but you can draw it into your mind and get the picture. Okay, so that's a story about Ruth, and even the names of her sons. One of them is I don't remember their names. I didn't go look it up right now, but one of them I remember was it was sun and moon. You know, one son, the name of the sun was indicative of the sun, the other one of the moon. Okay, and that's how the symbolism works in the story. You start reading the story, then you interpret the names, and all of a sudden you get the picture. You get what's going on here. You're being told a subliminal message in what just appears to be a nice story. But it's not just a nice story. It's the story about creation. It's the story about what we're going through right now and how to see the light. Okay, so I'm going to now go into the Nag Hammadi, and I'm going to start with the star message of Tolma, and then we'll get into the star message of truth, which is misnomered as the gospel of truth. And it's a pretty good one today, as it will be every day, because it is, what's it called? The gospel of truth, the star message of truth. You think they got a little truth in there? You better know it. Better know it. There's some truth in there that it's going to be right in your face. You can't. It's going to, like in what we call plain English, right? Okay. So Mew Mew. Okay, heads up. Thank you, Ninja, for the hearts and y'all love. Okay. So, and don't forget, later on we'll have a wonderful read from y'all love on the original gospel, and I can't wait because so here we go. So we've got number 10 in the Star Message of Tolma, Yeshua breathed, I have thrown fire upon the world. And look, I am watching it until it blazes. Okay, so now in another scripture, like with the same verse, it says, I'm fanning it. He says, I'm fanning it. This is in our regular scriptures. Okay, so again, evidence of this being an original source by Tolma, and so it'd be more like I have started a fire upon the earth, because it says thrown, so it implies started. I've started a fire in the world, and look out, because I am fanning it until it becomes a giant blaze. You know, like those forest fires we see. That's what it means. Okay? So he's fanning that fire because there is a battle, but it's not about Syria and North Korea and China and all the, you know, the delusions and the illusions they're creating to deflect our attention. It is a battle for the mind. It is a battle for don't give them your energy, because this is where the battle is, in knowing the truth about our true nature, and we're not of this world. Even one of the scriptures says that that a workman, and it'll be a bad paraphrase, but the best I can do off the top of my head, but that a workman concerns themselves not with the affairs of the world. Okay, a workman is not caught up in the affairs of the drama. Another word would be drama. Is not caught up in the drama of the world. Why? We got more important things to be concerned about and talk about, and that's our eternal nature and the great revelations that continue to unfold. That's where it's at, right? That's where it's at. Not in like watching a cartoon, because that's what you're watching when you're watching Washington D.C. You're watching a cartoon, and it'd be like saying, you know, to somebody, tell me, what do you think? Do you think Mickey Mouse is going to marry Minnie Mouse? I mean, they've been hanging out together for 50 years. Do you think they'll ever get married? Oh, yeah, I think they're going to get married this year. I don't know. Could happen. Can you imagine following a cartoon? Well, that's what we're doing when we're watching Washington, D.C., or Angela Merkel over there in Germany, the daughter of Adolf Hitler, of all things. Go figure, it fits. You know, that they're the grand illusion too, and they hope you'll be watching and thinking they're for real, because they're not. It's a cartoon stage. It is the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and I don't care if Mickey Mouse marries Minnie Mouse. I don't care. I couldn't get over when people were watching Bart Simpson. You know, adults. I had to get my truck repaired at Indianapolis one day when I was going through Indianapolis in my 18-wheeler. And so I decided to go into the TV room, the break room, where all the truckers are. And the truck and the break room was filled. I'm talking about 20 rows of seats, okay, like 50 men or something like that, or more, I don't know. And they're all sitting there staring at the boob tube, watching Bart Simpson. I'm thinking, I can't get over it. These are adults, and they're here watching Bart Simpson, you know. And Ash, glad you made it. You'll just have to do the replay, okay, to get it. But yeah. So people, you know, are entertained. They spend the limited time they have on Earth watching insanity cartoons that teach us how to disrespect and as Bart apparently did one day, pee on somebody because they got that bumper sticker with him peeing on people, or they put it on their windshield. I remember seeing that. Like, in other words, pee on you, pee on, right? Pee on you. So that's what the Khazarian bankers are funding, because that's what the Khazarian banker Jews think about the people, right? So anyway, it's just I've been amazed, you know. And then I would listen to rap music just to hear, you know, what it's like when I'm driving across road. I studied everything on the radio, and then on the commercial break between the rap music, which, you know, you can only listen to one or two songs, and that's it. I didn't even listen to a whole song, I don't think. But in between the songs, all of a sudden I hear, you know, what would be normally the commercial break, and I hear, "Kill them." Oh, after he's talking about kill your mama, kill your wife, you know, then it's "kill them" on the commercial. Then get back to another killing song. Gonna kill you, right? I mean, whoa, right? Are we? What planet are we on? Yeah, we're on planet Earth. That's right. It's not Mars. It's not Venus. It's planet Earth. And they are turning people into monsters. That's what they're doing. That's a good word, right? The moon star, that's Lucifer, the moon star. So yeah, so we are of a higher order, ladies and gentlemen, of a higher order. We come from royalty because the one who made the cosmos is the true royal. He is the royale. The royale meaning the ever flowing light that goes round, the royale. Okay? So in the star message of truth, Yeshua as the fruit of knowledge. Okay, that's what's coming up, and hope you start getting these books I referred to so you can build your collection before they become unavailable. Because they just want you watching Bart Simpson and not reading anything to enlighten you. Oh yeah, Halloween's the high day, I guess. Next April 19th and June 24th. So okay, so here we are in the Yeshua as the fruit of knowledge. This is the star message of him, the one of the many whom they seek, revealed to those who are perfect through the Father's mercy, or made perfect, okay? Because that's what he's doing. He's perfecting us. We're perfecting our ways to become one with the light. Through the hidden mystery, Yeshua, the Moshiach, enlightening those who were in darkness because of ignorance. He enlightened them and showed them the way, and that way is the truth that the eye plowed and planted within them. The truth he taught them about things, all things, as he teaches. For this reason, those in error were angry with him and persecuted him, and they were restrained by him and made powerless. He was nailed to a tree, and he became the fruit and the tree of knowledge of the great Father of light. This fruit of the tree, however, did not bring death when it was eaten, but rather it caused those who ate from it to become alive for the first time, to become alive. They were enlightened in this discovery, and he found them within himself, and they found him within themselves. And as for the illimitable, inconceivable, perfect Father who made all, the total creation is within him and needs him. That's symbolic of the light. We can't go a day without the light, right? Everything be over. We need that light. That's a symbol of something greater. Although he kept within himself their perfection, which he had not given to all, but the Father is not jealous. What jealousy could there be between himself and his own members? For even if the members of the eternal realm had received their perfection, they could not have approached the Father. He kept their perfection within himself, and that's preserved by the Great Spirit, of course, giving it to them as a means to return to him with the one mind of knowledge, the tree of knowledge, from the tree of knowledge. That's Yeshua. He is the one who prepared everything in order, and the all is within him. Or as Paul said, within him we move and have our being. The all is in need of him. Just as an individual who is not known to other people wants them to know him and love him. For what he did, the all of creation need. And what he does, the all of creation need. If not, it's a question, I'm sorry. For what does the all of creation, it's not did, it's does. What does the all of creation need, if not the knowledge of the Father? See, that's how you have to transliterate, ladies and gentlemen, while you're reading, because these translations, all of them, are subject to review, because the translator is doing the best job he can. And then sometimes you're dealing with one who's part of the occult, and then they're not going to say it right, and they'll switch out words. So you've got to use the enlightenment that comes through the light of Yeshua. So, okay, so that's for today, and tomorrow it will be Yeshua as guide and seed planter. Guide and seed planter, teacher. A teacher plants seeds. Teacher can't teach anything, but only plant seeds and hope that they will grow. And good morning, Hans. Great to have you on the program. And now with symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful world, Mr. Smith. And no, it's not. I'm just joking with you, aren't I? Of course, they're joking. And that brings us to the definition of ass. Okay, I'm not going to read it all, because as you know, an ass is pretty pathetic, and it's a cross between a donkey and a horse, and can't bring forth life. But I found this one of most interest in Chaldea. In Chaldea, the goddess of death. Excuse me for a minute. Okay, thank you. In Chaldea, the goddess of death is depicted as kneeling on an ass, which is being ferried across the river of hell, that's the grave, in a boat. The river of the grave. I guess it would imply then the river of the dead. That's probably more correct. The river of the dead. The ass is riding across the river of the dead. That's it. That's the world, okay? And depicted, okay, and in a boat. In dreams, the ass, especially when it appears invested with a solemn and ritual aspect, is usually a messenger of death. Okay? A messenger of death. Now get the picture. Excuse me, because good morning, Barb. Glad you're there. Hope you're feeling better. I know you've been going through stuff. So get the picture. It's a messenger of death. I'll finish the sentence, then I'll back up. A messenger of death, or appears in connection with death as a destroyer of a lifespan. Okay? Destroyer of a lifespan. Now you know that one of the Gospels says that he went and got a cult. But if we read one or two of the lost ones, then we find out where it clearly states it, because one Gospel says ass, one says colt. Well, a colt is a baby horse. Okay? It's not an ass. And so Yeshua doesn't come riding on an ass. Okay? What it was that there was two animals there. One was a colt, a baby stallion. Okay? Beautiful horse. And it was young. and an ass. And so Yeshua was riding on the baby stallion behind the ass. The ass was going first. The ass represented Yerushalayim, and the ass is a messenger of death, or also a messenger of a destroyer of the lifespan, and it was indicative of Israel. Okay? Jerusalem in particular, the tribe of Judah. So, because Israel was already gone, 720 years earlier. So, 30 years. So when he's riding behind the ass, those priests would have got the picture, okay? They would have got the picture that they are the ass. That, because what's the other illustration? One of those, the last days, that last week when he was going back into Jerusalem to go and speak in the temple, then he walked over to a fig tree. He was hungry, and it said he looked there to see if there was any fruit, but he could not find any, and therefore he said, "Cursed be forever." Okay, let no fruit grow on you therefore ever again. Okay, and that tree is symbolic of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. Okay, so it became an ass. It was a beautiful creation through Moshe El, but and it was at its apex when with Solomon, but then immediately at its apex it falls, because Solomon brings it up to its apex, and then he is the one responsible for bringing it down, because he set up the pillars and married pagan wives. You see? So there's your duality again. He set it up and he brought it down. Did both. Amazing, is it not? When he had the wisdom, just like Absalom. Absalom had the long hair, symbol of wisdom. He thought he could overthrow his father, and he was riding an ass, and he got caught up in the oak tree. And what's the oak tree? It's strong. Oak is strong. It's powerful, and that represents Yahweh, teaching him a lesson, you see. So that which came into the world that seemed so beautiful, then ultimately falls, right? Adam and Eve, right? It's the story of the irony of life. So let me put a post-it note there for next time, and then we're on the let's see here, the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. Okay. And I just wanted to, I was reading an interesting one this morning, and I thought it was certainly pretty interesting because it refers to the Watchers in here in the Greek mythology. And they were known as the Titans. Okay? The Titans. Right. So it's dealing with the term Oceanus, and Oceanus is a, reflective on the ocean, of course. And also, so Oceanus is part of that mythology. I had not read much of, I hadn't read all the Greek mythology. I read a lot of it, but so I'm not up on Oceanus, but it's also called the Son of Heaven and Earth here. So that would mean the son of the sun. That's what it would mean, the son of the sun, because heaven is a code, and earth, son of the sun and earth. And therefore it's a symbol of the spirit of truth, produced primordially from spirit and matter. So the ocean is also represents the serpent, because the currents flow around and go every which way like a serpent around the earth. And here's the quote from Proclus: of the divine Titanic hebdomads, ocean, both abides and proceeds, uniting himself to his Father in the throne of the sun, and not departing from his royal domain. But all the rest of the Titans, here you go, the Titans are the Aryans, the Aryan Watchers. Look at the word tight, as in the word tit, meaning the top, the point. Okay, the grand Tetons, the tips, the points. Okay, that's what Titan means. And so who were the Titans but the Aryans, the Watchers who lived to be 1,000 years old, and they knew how everything in the universe operated. That's why they were Titans. And it says here, but all the rest of the Titans rejoicing. And so the first illusion is that some of them were connected with the throne of the sun. But then it says, but all the rest of the Titans rejoicing in progression are said to have given completion to the will of the earth. So not to the light, but to the will of the earth. Their passion was directed towards the earth and not towards the light, continuing, but to have assaulted instead their father. What father? The father of light. They assaulted their father, dividing themselves from his royal domain and proceeding unto another order. Oh, another order, like old world order, new world order, one world order. Okay, so there's the story of the Watchers right there, ladies and gentlemen. In Greek mythology, they are the Titans. And I already knew this, okay? I didn't just see this for the first time. I'm writing a note here. But I thought how great, to stumble on it right at, for the broadcast, because that's the forbidden history, okay? That's the forbidden history. They don't want you to know this legacy. It said they hated their father. They assaulted their father. They're assaulting us. They're assaulting us, right? That's when they assault us. What did Yeshua say? When they come after you, they're not coming after you. They're coming after me. They're assaulting me. Okay? And the battle is not yours. The battle is mine. That's what he says. You are in your rest. Be at peace. Don't give it your energy, because I am here as your arbiter and defender, and the battle is mine. And they've already lost because they're in the darkness and I am the light. And there is no power outside of the light, ladies and gentlemen. All right? No power outside the light. And that's out of Proclus Timaeus 5:292. Of the essential elements of life, spirit, both abides above and proceeds to action below, and is one with the Supreme, not departing from the higher planes. But the other primal conditions, rejoicing in the new cycle of evolution, are said to have given completion to the process of involution into matter. Yeah, well, they finished the job, didn't they? And created a phony world, a matrix on top of a matrix. Good morning. Good morning, Martha. Glad you're enjoying it. Yes, it's the forbidden history, is it not? Come on, you know it. Okay, so backing up here. But the other primal conditions, rejoicing in the new cycle of evolution. Yeah, say, evolution of their ideas. That's the evolution of their ideas, okay? Not what Yahweh wanted, but they rebelled. You see, that's where the misconception about the angels who fell and a third of them rebelled in heaven, you see, that's the corrupted version. It is the Aryan watchers. It was the ones on the mountain with Enoch and Methuselah. Math meaning truth. The shalat is the healing root. And so very name of Methuselah means at the end of time, the healing root will come. And that's Yeshua when he came at the end of time 2,000 years ago. But so not all of the Aryans fell. And that's this duality then. We have Mitzrayim called Egypt as one central point of Aryan culture that evolved and create the great pyramid civilizations, but then Jerusalem. So you had two Aryan cultures spring up, both regarded as the center of the earth, both regarded as the center of light. What does a pyramid represent other than light, right? And but then secretly, the Mitzrayim civilization was being run in the back office out in India, and they just come around in the boat through the Persian Gulf right into the Red Sea, and boom, they give their marching orders to them. And so anyway, so it's not about fallen angels, it's about fallen Aryans, the Aryan race that fell and wanted to enslave mankind. Did they not do it, ladies and gentlemen? Did not the Aryan race enslave mankind? Did they not use Hitler to annihilate half of Europe, let alone a major part of the rest of the world, right? The Aryans with the filfat, the swastika from the Vedas. Right on the cover of the book of the Vedas is the swastika, a symbol of light. It's a light particle spinning, meaning they claim to be of the light, but they're actually of the darkness, right? And so that's why the swastika got a bad rap, because of the darkness that they inflicted upon mankind. All right, almost done here. But the other primal conditions, rejoicing in the new cycle of evolution, are said to have given completion to the process of involution into matter. They gave completion to the rest of the process of being a slave to matter, to the physical form, to the illusions that they created, repulsing the direct action. There you go. Repulsing the direct action of the Supreme Spirit. Blasphemy, blowing smoke. That's what blasphemy means. Blowing smoke against the light, the Supreme Spirit, in separating themselves from the higher nature and proceeding into the new process in order of evolution. Okay? And the phony matrix that they created. And see Earth, Great Evolution, GE, they're GE, the electric company with Jupiter on its logo, with the 3 lightning bolts coming out of its beard, while he's making a sexual symbol of a male and female on both his left and right hand. If you ever seen that on the GE building out of New York, they put it on the stamp about 15 years ago. They put it on a stamp. You remember that? And he's in the clouds. See heaven and earth, the involution, Poseidon, Spirit, Titans, Telach, Uranus, and Varuna. Okay, so yeah, it's quite a legacy that we've been denied to know, and for me, it took a lifetime to see it. I was getting glimmers of it and asking for more guidance, and then the Father leads him down the trail of the absolute truth that belongs to him, ladies and gentlemen. The truth is his, and he unfolds it. Okay, and so with that, I'm thinking it's a good time for a break right now, and so Yalov, why don't you come on down and give us some of the original gospel? I'm about ready for a break, and I know everybody will love to hear that. So okay, I'm going to a song, and we will be right back with Yalov on the original gospel on the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, and you know it, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get this anywhere else, okay? And the only reason it's so good is because it's so bad out there. The Father of Light is bursting the light. It's exploding. And before they put that sun simulator up there, 3 years ago, you know that sun was blazing. And it had been blazing for at least 5 years or 6 years prior in what's coming down, okay? But whatever's in front of it now is eclipsing it. And that's why they had to get that simulator. What's AFK? Aflac? Okay, yellow, stand by. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and we have standing by Yalov. We're in the section 8 in Keth, in Life and Works of Yeshua in Persia. And so, Yalov, how's the background noise over there? Are we going to be able to do this? She's got a major thing going on in her community for techies, and they're all dressed up in funny costumes, and they feel very important, I guess, or something like that. Is that right, Yalov?
Yes, hi everyone. Yeah, it's okay. It's just starting, and the Gamescom is here in Cologne, where I live, and yeah, they're all gamers and nerds, and yeah, but it's not that loud, so I can do the read. It's no problem.
Okay, fantastic. And, yeah, and so for I see we may have new listeners on. If want to welcome any new listeners we have, but if you want to get the PDF version or just watch it on your computer screen, then just simply go to therealpublicradio.net and then /original_gospel.html. That's the real publicradio.net, therealpublicradio.net /original_gospel.html, and then you'll see some beautiful trees with lights coming through them. Scroll to the bottom. You'll see the PDF access. You can either open it up or download it, print it out, get a hard copy, or click on the book, picture of the book. It'll take you to Amazon. You get the 1919 reprint of version. But we read this every day when Yalov is available, and we're very grateful for her consideration for all of our friends here and to share her talent. She's multilingual, speaks about 5 or more, has actually more interest in more than 5 different forms of European dialect or tongue. We don't use the word language because language is the land grudge, and that's the stuff they shot at us, and so we can't go anywhere. That's a story for another day. I did all that way back at the beginning in our premiere. Go back to June 21st and start listening forward. You'll get the picture of all this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, so she's multi-talented and multilingual, and that gave her the advantage of being able to immediately resonate with the original thought here. In fact, she speaks a primitive German Saxon dialect that is not even written, okay?
Yeah.
And therefore, she really saw, even in the King James, some of that German Saxon in there as well. So she was right on to, she was doing better to me by the time she was last reading it to me. And I said, okay, would you, be glad to, willing, please, to come on? And there was no problem. Okay, she's a true spirit of the great Father of Light. She just wants to serve, no ego here, and that's my kind of lady. I can't get over how first time on a broadcast anywhere and doing something nobody's ever done before. So y'all love, way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Still excited. Okay. We are in section 8, and it's about life and works of Yeshua in Persia. Chapter 38. 24 years of age was Yeshua when he entered Persia on his homeward way. In many hamlet, town, and neighborhood, he paused a while and taught and healed. The priest and ruling classes did not welcome him because he censored them for cruelty to those of low estate. The common people followed him in throngs. At times, the chiefs made bold to try to hinder him, forbidding him to teach or heal the sick. But he regarded not their angry threats. He taught and healed the sick. In time, he reached the city of Persia, the city where the kings of Persia were entombed. The city of the learned Magi, Hor and Loon and Myrrh, the three wise blood of the earth, who 24 years before
forgive me, Yalla, but I just wanted, because when you said the three wise blood of the earth, let's just, in this instance, spell it out correctly the way they would have heard it. These are the three wise men, Hor, Lun, and Myrrh, from Persia, who Yeshua is now going to visit. And so just wanted to clarify that this, we primed you for this yesterday, but if you weren't tuned in, that's where we are right now. And this is so it's a lifetime, has gone now, and he's going to visit the three wise men. So, Yalov, thank you. Pick it up in number 7, please.
Yes. So the three Magi, who 24 years before had seen the star of promise rise above Jerusalem, and who had journeyed to the west to find the newborn royal ruler, the royal Melech, and were the first to honor Yeshua as the mother star of the age, and gave him gifts of gold, gandhas, and myrrh. These Magi knew by ways that mother stars always know when Yeshua neared the city of Persia. And then they girt themselves and went to meet him on the way. And when they met, a light much brighter than the light of the day surrounded them. And blood of the earth, who saw the four stand in the way, declared they were transfigured, seeming more like gods than men, than blood of the earth. Now, Hor and Loon were aged blood of the earth, and Yeshua placed them on his beast to ride into the city of Persia, whilst he and Myrrh led on the way.
Yes, and I just want to add that Yalov is transliterating the town called Persepolis. We always hear about it as Persepolis, but correctly, it literally means the city of Persia. And so that's a clarification on that, okay? Please continue.
And when they reached the Magi's home, they all rejoiced. And Yeshua told the thrilling story of his life, and Hor and Loon and Myrrh sparked not. They only looked to the sky, and in their hearts they praised the great Yahweh, the great Elohim. Three wise blood of the earth from the north were in the city of Persia, and they were Casper, Zara, and Malzone. And Casper was the wisest mother star of the Magi land. These three were at the home of Hor, Loon, and Myrrh when Yeshua came. For 7 days, these 7 blood of the earth sparked not. They sat in silence in the council hall, in close communion with the silent brotherhood. They sought for light, for revelation, and for power. The laws and precepts of the coming age required all the wisdom of the mother stars of the world. Chapter 39. A feast in honor of the Magi of the great Elohim was being held, and many blood of the earth were gathered in the city of Persia. And on the great day of the feast, the ruling Magi mother stars breathed, "Within these sacred walls is liberty. Whoever will spark may spark." And Yeshua, standing in the midst of all the people, breathed, "My brothers, sisters, youth of our father, the great Olofheim, most enlightened are you among the seed of the moon today, because you have such just conceptions of the only pure anointed great breath of light and of blood of the earth. Your purity in worship and in life is pleasing unto the great Olofheim, and to your mother star Zarathustra praise is due. Well, say you all, there is one great Olofheim, from whose great being there came forth the seven spirits, the seven winds. Shall I say spirits?
Seven winds is more correct because seven is a representative of time, of the 7 days of the week, and therefore the seven planets, and they are the seven winds.
Okay. Yeah. Came forth the seven winds that created the sky and the earth, and manifest unto the seed of the moon.
Okay, I'll jump in on that one because that is I know a harder one. But when typically it says heaven and earth, that's a code because the occult don't want to reveal the full picture, and they don't want to say sun and moon because the moon is their baby, and therefore so it would actually be then and I'll just move into it. Okay, well say you all, there is one true Elohim, and then that's in reference to the sun. And because we see in here that typically when it's using God, then it's in reference to the great Elohim, and then if it's using Lord, as it is in our Old Covenant, then typically it means Yahweh. But actually, in this very line here, I question it only. I'll know when I read through it further, because there is one great Elohim, and then that would be in reference to the Son. The Son represents Yeshua, because he is the great Elohim and the first made. That's why he's the great. Then all other are just Elohim. Elohim being the corrupted form, but Elohim is the more correct. The word love is there. The divine love is within nature, and therefore that's why it provides us a bounty from whose great being. Okay, from whose great being? You see, from the sun. That's what I've been saying. That the planets and the moons are the children of the sun. And now I get it. Yeah, it is the great Elohim. It's in reference to the sun. There is one great Elohim, and that is represented by the sun at the center, from whose great being, that great orb that's 97 million miles away, and it's still in our face and warming us every day, from whose great being there came forth the seven winds, and that's in reference to the other planets and the moons created. That, in other words, the seven winds that created, here it is, sun, the earth, and the moon, and the other planets, and manifest unto the seed of the moon are these great winds through the sun and the moon and the star and it should be planets. It says stars here, but it should be planets. So you see, it just confirmed what I just said a moment ago. I didn't see what was in front of it, and you see, and so literally, this is the evidence that this is a bona fide, legitimate, original star message, original gospel, because it speaks truth, ladies and gentlemen, beyond any of our scriptures in this light right here. Please continue.
But in your sacred books we read that two among these seven are of superior strength, that one of these created all the good, and the other one created all the darkness.
Yeah, and so now it's referring to sun and moon, because good should be actually light, for these created all the light, and the other created all the darkness, and that's the moon. It's now talking about the play of the duality that is ensuing. Yeah.
I pray unto you, honored mother stars, tell me how that darkness can be born of that which is good, light. Amagus rose and breathed. If you will answer me, your problem will be solved. we all do recognize the fact that there is darkness. Whatever is must have a cause. If the great Elohim, the one, made not this darkness, then where is the great Elohim who did it? And Yeshua breathed. Whatever the great Elohim, the one, has made is good, is light. And like the great first cause, the seven winds are all light. And everything that comes from their creative hands is light.
Yeah, and what it meant was it came from the light. Everything came from the light. And please continue. And from their creative hand is perfect. Therefore, good in that last word would be perfect, because that's how nature is active, right? We can see the perfection in nature. There's no question about it. It's just man who's all messed up in the fall. The creature that's a foreigner, not from here. Please continue. Yeah.
Yes. Now, all created things have colors, tones, and forms by their own. But certain tones, though good and pure themselves, when mixed together, produce inharmonies, discordant tones. And certain things, though good and pure, when mixed together, produce discordant things. Yet poisonous things that blood of the earth can call darkness or dark things.
Yeah, and let me just read this again, because it's important. This is a major revelation here, and whereas you were using the word good, it is light still. So I'm backing up to 12. Now, all created things have colors, tones, and forms of their own, but certain tones, though from the light and pure by themselves, when mixed, produce inharmonies and discordant tones. And certain things, though light of the light and pure, when mixed, okay, so different aspects of light, when mixed together, produce disharmonies. Yeah, and poisonous things that blood of the earth call the darkness, the things of the darkness. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that deep stuff. Okay, and you're doing great, y'all. Love. Thank you. 14.
Yeah. I'm learning. So
and wait a minute, I just want to add. I'm going to going back to our scriptures in Genesis, right? In Bereshith. So that's how they played the trick in our scriptures, because when it said good and evil, it's not the term when the Naga Hadam deceived Keva, and he says that no, don't you know that when we do this thing, we will become all wise and we will know about good and evil? No, he didn't say that. He said we would know about the sun and moon. That's in the primitive. That's the most primitive original thought, because it's always pointing at a picture, and we would know about the sun and moon. But what he was saying was we would know about the light and we would know about the darkness, because the sun is in the day and the moon is in the night. And that's how they watered down and made into kindergarten diction our scriptures, when it was all in reference to nature. And once you know it's about sun and moon, light and darkness, it gets pretty simple to get the picture.
Wow.
Okay.
So darkness is so it's verse 14 now, yes?
Yes.
So darkness is the inharmonious blending of the colors, the tones, forms of the light. Now, blood of the earth is not all wise, and yet has will by his own. He has the power, and he uses it to mix the great Yahweh's light things in a multitude of ways, and every day he makes discordant sounds and dark things. And every tone and form, be it of light or of darkness, becomes a living thing, and dark nature, sprite or winds of a light or a vicious kind. blood of the earth makes his darkness thus.
Well, this will be the adversary. Devil is always transliterated as adversary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Adversary makes his darkness thus, and then becomes afraid of him and flees.
Yeah. So let's do it. Let's do it in the here. I'll just follow up on that. Blood of the earth makes his adversary this way, and then becomes afraid of him and flees. Right. And this is where we've created all these false images. Right. The illusions of what we call devils and demons and Satan and we think that somehow they're all the same thing, right? But when we go back to the word, we find there's something else dealing with the flesh, with the ego, with somebody who's insane, all of these other aspects, but we've turned them into actual characters that fly through the night in the dark, just like the Watchers became somehow angels with wings on their back, from Aryans to invisible creatures, all disassociation through the manipulation of our terminology and our scriptures, ladies and gentlemen. And they become the adversary, and we're in the night in fear when the scripture says plainly that there's nothing in the darkness and there's nothing there, and that the only aspect is light that has created all things, but then they become misused, mishandled, misappropriated, misrepresented, and therefore become instruments of darkness. Just like a gun is not evil by itself, just like an owl is not evil by itself, but if used improperly or as a false image, it's then creates illusions, and that's why I even get persecuted by mainstream Christians for having a metaphor for a spiritual title that was given to me by the Father of Light. Please continue.
Yeah, this is crucial to comprehend.
His adversary then? His middle way?
Now his adversary is emboldened.
And that would include the occult then. So the adversary then is emboldened. He's the one who's made to look powerful, because he put us in fear. He put us in fear now. If you don't do this thing, you're going to hell, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so his adversary is emboldened, follows him away, and casts him into torturing fires. That's what you said. The adversary and the burning fires are both the works of blood of the earth, man, and none can put the fires out and dissipate the dark one, but blood of the earth who made them both. Then Yeshua stood aside, and not a magus answered him. And he departed from the throng and went into a secret place to create light. Chapter 40.
Okay, so did you want to stop there? Is it and do the other when we get the next day? How do you want to approach that? Do you want to stop?
You tell me. You are my teacher.
Okay. Let's see. Let me look at the clock here. Hang on. Look at our time window. Well, is the noise bad out there? Is it too bad?
It's noisy, yeah. It's noisy, but I closed all the windows and doors and everything, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, since we got two, there were both short chapters, and we're at the end of the saga, I think it would be great to keep it all in context, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it then.
Is everybody with me?
Yeah, you're getting wonderful reviews here. They love it.
Thank you. Chapter 40. Now, in the early morning, Yeshua came again to teach and heal. A light not comprehended shone about, as though some mighty winds overshadowed him. A magus noted this and asked him privately to tell him from whence his wisdom came and what the meaning of the light was. And Yeshua breathed. There is a silence where the soul may meet its great Elohim, and there the fount of wisdom is, and all who entered are immersed in light, and filled with wisdom, love, and power. The magus breathed. Tell me about this silence and this light, that I may go and there abide. and Yeshua breathed. The silence is not circumscribed. It's not a place closed in with wall or rocky steeps, nor guarded by the sword of blood of the earth. Blood of the earth carry with them all the time the secret place where they might meet their great Elohim. It matters not where blood of the earth abide, on mountain top, in deepest valley, in marts of trade, or in the quiet home. They may at once, at any time, fling wide the door and find the silence with the house of the great Elohim. It is within the shoal.
And when you hear Ya'alov say shoal, she's putting the H back with the S correctly, according to primitive root, and that is the soul, which is a misspelling S-O-U-L, and it's really S-O-L for sun. But if we just change the U into two O's, Sul, S-O-O-L, then there's the serpent and the owl, the S and the O-O-L, which means, that the ego is a serpent, and then the owl is right there with it, being the mind to see in the darkness. So it is our conveyance. It is the serpent represents our, just like it represents the sun, it represents also our mind, which gets confused with ego at times, and that's the negative serpent of the ego, but also then of the flesh, because everything is serpent. So the soul. So when she says shul, just wanted to clarify it. Now, you can hear also in there the word shoal. And a shoal is like a safe place where you can park your boat, right? The shoal, we want to go into gentle waters. And so the safe place is in your mind, right? So like while people are beating you up and kicking you around, you don't have to tell them anything about how you feel. And you can just keep it in your mind. Just like when Yeshua was accused by people, he never responded. They could accuse him all day long. He couldn't care less. He's not responding. He's not giving it his energy because he knew who he was and knew that knew who they were. And so these putting the H back is relevant to getting back to original thought. And that's why I said she takes it further than I do, because typically I'll just stay with soul. But I love hearing her do it most correctly, because it does create additional picture like the shoal. Okay, and there's so much more that can be said, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Back to you.
And shoal and shul, that's the inner school. I see it like the inner school, like my meditation when I create light. And Schule is in German school. So that's why I can compare that. Very good.
And thank you, because that was an important element I left out, because soul is shul. And it is shul in its most correct form. There's the owl in there, the two O's, the O-O-L, meaning for seeing. And shul is school. Shul is the primary original of Yeshua, because it's really Yashul and Va. And they used to blow the shulfar, not the shofar, but the shulfar, to send the message far. And like you say, it is the school of our mind. How perfect to state it that way, Ya'alov. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Verse 8. One may not be so much disturbed by noise of business and the shavors and thoughts of blood of the earth if he goes all alone into the valley or the mountain path. And when life's heavy load is pressing hard, it is far better to go out and seek a quiet place to pray, to create light and meditate. The silence is the royal domain of the soul, which is not seen by human eyes. When in the silence phantom forms met flit before the mind, but they are all subservient to the will. The mother star soul may spark and they are gone. If you would find this silence of the soul, you must yourself prepare the way. None but the pure in heart may enter here. And you must lay aside all tenseness of the mind, all business cares, all fears, all doubts, all troubled thoughts. your human will must be absorbed by the divine. Then you will come into a consciousness of holiness. You are in the anointed place, and I should have said instead of holiness, anointment.
The true anointed light, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you are in the true anointed place, and you will see upon a living shrine the candle of Yahweh aflame. And when you see it burning there, look deep into the temple of your brain, and you will see it all aglow. In every part, from head to foot, are candles all in place, just waiting to be lighted by the flaming torch of love. And when you see the candles all aflame, just look and you will see with eyes of Sheol the waters of the sound of wisdom rushing on, and you may drink and there abide. And then the curtains part, and you are in the most anointed place of all, where rests the ark of the great Elohim, whose covering is the mercy seat. Fear not to lift the sacred board. The tables of the law are in the ark concealed. Take them and read them well, for they contain all precepts, all commands that blood of the earth will ever need. And in the ark, the magic wand of prophecy lies waiting for your hand. It is the key to all the hidden meanings of the present, future, and past. And then you must see and read it for yourself. The manna there, the hidden bread of life. And he who eats shall never die. The cherubim have guarded well for every soul this treasure box, and whosoever will may enter in and find his own. Now Casper heard the Hebrew mother star spark, and he exclaimed, "You must see and read it for yourself. The wisdom of the gods has come to blood of the earth." And Yeshua went his way, and in the sacred groves of Cyrus, where the multitudes were met, he taught and healed the sick.
Okay, now I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up
Yes.
real quick before we go into chapter 41, because okay, so I was getting the picture here. The treasure, the Ark of the Covenant is merely a symbol, and it represents the sun. That's why it was made of gold. That's why within it is the law, right? Because everything comes out from the light, and the ark, and so so I want to back up here to let me see. Okay, so I'm going to start at 17. In every part from head to foot are candles in all place, just waiting to be lighted by the flaming torch of love. Well, the greatest flaming torch of love of them all is the Olav Haim. There's the word love, the Olav Haim, the greatest flaming torch of them all, the sun. And when you see the candles all aflame, just look, and you will see with eyes of the Shul, the waters of the fountain of wisdom and wise judgment rushing on. And you, so the fountain then is light, right? It's light flowing, because it's not talking about water. It's talking about a fountain of wisdom, which would be a fountain of light, the river of light that flows. In the original of our Genesis, it says, and out from Eden flowed a river, and it parted into the four directions. That's the light that flows into all the earth, rushing on, and you may drink, and there you may live. And then, so if you drink from this wisdom, you can live. And then the curtains part, right? Just like the clouds. And you are in the most sacred of them all. It says holiest of all. That's the most anointed and sacred of them all. What could be more sacred than the metaphor of in the center of the light, in the sun, where rests the ark of Olav Haim, the great Olav Haim, whose covering is the mercy seat. Whose covering is the mercy seat. That's the throne of light. fear not to lift the sacred board, the table. That's what board means, table. Or the lid. Here it means lid. Fear not to lift the sacred lid. The tables of the pure shelter, the pure law, are in the ark concealed. And I had finally realized that the word law, was shelter, and I realized that the symbol of that was high noon. That is symbolic of the pure judgment, the pure protection, what is known as the pure shelter of Yahweh, the light that comes down and delivers us at the time when we need it. Okay, and they are the tables of the law in the ark. They are concealed. Nobody gets the picture that the sun is the great Elohim. It's concealed. It's been hidden from us, and it represents, our origin. We have to go back. Everything came from the light. Everything has to go back to the light. So then, take them and read them well, for they contain all the precepts and the instructions that blood of the earth will ever need. And in the ark, the Medjay, the staff, the Medjay staff of predicting, of truth. No, this is a code where prophecy is for speaking truth. And the ark of the Medjay means the center of the staff of truth is waiting for your hand. You see, the staff of truth is waiting for your hand, and it is the key to all the hidden meanings of the present, future, and past. And so Star Fe, remember I defined staff as Star Fe, and there it is, the virgin light, the star of the virgin light. And then you must see and read it for yourself. The manna there, the true manna, the hidden bread of life. And the one who eats will never die. And the cherubim are the symbols on the ark, which are representative of sun and moon. It's the solar disk. We see it in Babylon. We see it in Egypt. We see it in the Vatican. We see it everywhere. That's the cherubim. The cherubim are the cherry red beams of a sunset or a sunrise. Okay? And so, and the cherubim have guarded well for every shul this lost treasure box. It is, in another metaphor, the Holy Grail, the rays of the light coming down, and whoever will may enter in and find his own. Okay, so I just wanted to give a more explicit picture of that because it's powerful, and they give us a rough, translation of it, and so so I had to clarify that. Y'all love, forgive me, but please
sure.
continue.
Thank you.
All right.
Chapter 41. A flowing spring that people called the healing fount was near the city of Persia, and all the people thought that at a certain time of the year their deity came down and gave a virtue to the waters of the fount, and that the sick who then would plunge into the fount and wash would be made whole. About the fount, a multitude of people were in waiting for the pure anointed great breath of light of the One to come and potentize the waters of the fount. The blind, the lame, the deaf, the dumb, and those obsessed were there, and Yeshua, standing in the midst of them, exclaimed, "You must see and read it for yourself, the spring of life. These waters that will fail are honored as the special enlightenment of your great Elohim, from whence do healing virtues come. Why is your great Elohim so partial with his gifts? Why does he enlighten this spring today and then tomorrow takes his enlightenment away? A deity of power could fill these waters full of healing virtue every day. Hear me, you sick disconsolate. The virtue of this fount is not a special gift of the great Elohim. Victory of light is the healing power of every drop and all the waters of this spring. He who knows with all his heart that he will be made whole by washing in this fount will be made whole when he has washed, and he may wash at any time. Let everyone who has this victory of light in the great Olofheim and in himself plunge in these waters now and wash. And many of the people plunged into the crystal fount, and they were healed. And then there was a rush, for all the people were inspired with victory of light, and each one strove to be among the first to wash, lest all the virtue be absorbed. And Yeshua saw a little youth, weak, faint, and helpless, sitting all alone beyond the surging crowd, and there was none to help her to the fount. And Yeshua breathed, "My little one, why do you sit and wait? Why not arise and hasten to the fount and wash and be made well?" The youth replied, "I need not haste. The enlightenment of my Father in the heavens, in the sky, are measured not in tiny cups. They never fail. Their virtues are the same forevermore. When these, whose victory of light is weak and must haste to wash for fear their victory of light will fail, have all been cured, these waters will be just as powerful for me. Then I can go and stay a long time within the enlightened waters of the spring." And Yeshua breathed, "You must see and read it for yourself. A mother star Shoal, or Shul. She came to earth to teach to blood of the earth the power of victory of light." And then he lifted up the youth and breathed, "Why wait for anything? The very air we breathe is filled with balm of life. Breathe in the balm of life in faith and be made whole." And the youth breathed in the balm of life in victory of light, and she was well. The people marveled much at what they heard and saw. They breathed, "This blood of the earth must surely be the God of health made flesh." And Yeshua breathed, "The fount of life is not a little pool. It is as wide as are the spaces of the universe. The waters of the fount are love. The potency is victory of light, and he who plunges deep into the living springs in living victory of light may wash away his guilt and be made whole and freed from darkness and blindness."
And closing their eyes.
Let there be light.
Let there be light. Way to go, Yalov. Thank you so much. And when we pick it up next time, it'll be section 9, Teth, which is the life and works of Yeshua in Assyria. And so, Yalov, any final thought on your part?
I'm blown away now.
Okay. Well, we'll have to pick you off the floor and put you back in the chat now. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what a wonderful read. Thank you, and thank you for letting me reiterate some of that deeper stuff that I know it goes so fast. And I've as you know, I've read this like 36 times now from cover to cover. So I'm very much with all my marginal notes and everything and highlights. I'm seeing and still I'm seeing it. Some stuff for the first time. It's just a continual journey of unfolding and enlightenment. So I'm just so grateful to the Father above that I can share it with everyone, and that you are able to see and read it for yourself and breathe in the original thought. Way to go! We're going to go to a break, and Yalov will be back in the chat. And thank you again, Yalov. Okay, and I'm going to finish the program here with a couple more tidbits, and then we will be good for today, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in right here to the Forbidden History series on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. Now, you don't ever get that at the bullpit, do you? Come on. and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And let there be light, y'all love. Thank you so much again. You're a gift to the broadcast here, and live forever, okay? And I know you will. You've got the heart for that. And so we're in the Philo. Okay, I'm going in Philo. Did you get your copy of Philo yet, ladies and gentlemen? Well, you know you got a lot of homework to do. Okay, sorry to tell you. But it is a journey. And so I'm moving forward. We're still in the book on creation, and I just jumped forward now because I'm just reading the highlights out of the book. It's good for me, and okay, I need it, and it's good for you because I forgot most of what I read here, other than the important points. So mostly I do take note of the certain key elements within, you know, especially within the diction. That's the thing that Yeshua calls me to specialize in, that diction, you know. And so I'm in 56/157. Is that 56? Yeah, 56. Okay. And these things are, and it talked previously just about the perfect man. He was talking about the Hadam and the Aryan race, and these things are not mere fabulous inventions. Let me back up just to see the way it leads in here. I will not call it life, but some time of unhappiness. Accordingly, he appointed them such punishment as was befitting. Okay, so it talked a little bit about I see the forbidden fruit is right here. Okay, it was said that the old poisonous, let me see this here. It is said that the old poisonous and earthborn reptile, the serpent, uttered the voice of a man. And he, one occasion, coming to the wife of the first created man, reproached her with her slowness and her excessive prudence. You know, the one thing in here is the Balai Suits have, totally tampered with our scriptures, and that's the thing that really gets, I have to read this through. I may have to take some side notes on it, but I'm going to go back to the part where I was coming in on the serpent specifically. Okay, and these things are not mere fabulous inventions in which the race of poets and sophists delights, but are rather types shadowing some allegorical truth, and according to some mystical explanation. And anyone who follows a reasonable train of conjecture will say with great propriety that the aforesaid serpent is the symbol of pleasure. And man actually is the one holding that symbol of pleasure, known as the phallus. But the body itself is the serpent. And see, and what is it? The symbol of pleasure. And that is that not what we derive through our body? Is an outward experience of pleasure. Okay, that's the serpent. Because in the first place, he is destitute. Now he's talking about the serpent in the literal sense that he can't walk and he crawls on his belly with his face downwards. And he's talking about symbolism, right? Because isn't that what man does? We live on our belly, and we are looking down at the earth and not looking up above towards the light of the sun, right? In the second place, because he uses lumps of clay for food. Thirdly, because he bears poison in his teeth, by which in his nature is to kill those who are bitten by him. Well, that's a metaphor for man as well. I mean, he can kill somebody with his words, right? Words are poison. Sure they are. Words have destroyed our truth. And the man devoted to pleasure is free from none of the aforementioned evils. There you go. And the man devoted to pleasure, not enlightenment, but pleasure, is free from none of the aforementioned evils. For it is, and you know, the very first thought I had in my mind about that pleasure was going to the carnival. You know, it's a lot of fun growing up to go to those carnivals, right? Or the theme park and all that. And but it's not about entertainment, you see, of that sort. It is with difficulty that he can raise his head. Difficulty, being weighed down and dragged down, since intemperance trips him up, and keeps him down. And then not to mention all the disinformation they fed us. And he feeds not on heavenly food, which wisdom offers. See, he's still conjecturing about the serpent, but he's referring to the man. Get the picture? And he feeds not on heavenly food, which wisdom offers to contemplative men by means of discourses and opinions, but on that which is put forth by the earth in the varying seasons of the year, from which arise drunkenness and voracity and licentiousness, breaking through and inflaming the appetites of the belly and enslaving them in subjection to gluttony, by which they strengthen the impetuous passions. Strengthening the passions. Want more, need more, morals. Oh yeah, the morals of the Masons. That's right. They want more and they want it all. The seat of which is beneath the belly and makes them break forth. Isn't it interesting that the word God, which is a pagan term, sounds like gut, and in Scandinavia they actually spell God as G-U-T-T, gut. You see, it's the gut. That's the God of the belly. You see, that's the trick they played on us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so and so he feeds not on heavenly food, which wisdom offers to contemplative men by means of discourses and opinions. But on that which is put forth by the earth in the varying seasons of the year, from which arise drunkenness and voracity and licentiousness, breaking through and inflaming the appetites of the belly, and enslaving them in subjection to gluttony, by which they strengthen the impetuous passions, the seat of which is beneath the belly, and makes them break forth. And they lick up the results of the labors of cooks and tavern keepers, and at times some of them in ecstasy with the flavor of the delicious food, more about his head and reach forward, being desirous to participate in the affair. And when he sees an expressively furnished table, he throws himself bodily upon the delicacies which are abundantly prepared, and devotes himself to them. Yes, devoted to all those delicacies. I'm devoted to eating. Wishing to be, well, you need to be devoted to reading. Wishing to be filled with them altogether, and so to depart, having no other end in view than that he should allow nothing of such a sumptuous preparation to be wasted, owing to which conduct he as well carries about the poison in his teeth, no less than the serpent does. For his teeth are the ministers and servants of his insatiability, cutting up and smoothing everything which has a reference to eating, and committing them in the first place to the tongue, which decides upon and distinguishes between the various flavors, and subsequently to the larynx. Both immoderate and indulgence in eating is necessarily a poisonous and deadly habit, inasmuch as what is so devoured is not capable of digestion, in consequence of the quantity of additional food which is heaped in on top of it, and arrives before what was previously eaten is converted into juice or digested. And so what's interesting about talking about that, the main symbolism of the serpent is it represents pleasure. Well, in the Septuagint, well, in our King James, it says that when Keva gave of that fruit to Hedam, then it said that, he did eat. But in the Septuagint, it said when she gave to him, he found pleasure. Okay, and we know it's about the carnal knowledge and the sensual pleasure that was derived from the symbol of the serpent. The fruit is his testicles, and the serpent, is the phallus, and they were naked, and therefore it's not hard to figure out that they're looking at each other, and he's telling her, no, this was here so that we can create a society of people, a world without number, like the stars of heaven, and it would make us creators, just like the Creator. Okay, go figure, make us creators like the Creator, and that we would then be we would then be enlightened. Okay, so it was a false story. It was not a true story told by the one who had named all things on earth. He knew the score. He knew about how everything operated. This was the legacy of the Watchers, who sold their birthright. But Hadam, at least, was sorry for what he did, and he from that point on, was living pure. And you can find that story also in the books of Adam and Eve, first and second books. So it's amazing trying to look into the past to to interpret these great stories and symbols, ladies and gentlemen. But the answer is in the shavors, in the words, if we can interpret the words correctly. Just like this one here, Celt and Celt and Kilt, Celtic, right? And they're all the same derivative of the word cult. Cult. We never get the picture, do we? But a cult. So when we're talking about the Celtic or the kilt of the Scottish Rite, the woman's dress, that it is also synonymous with the word cult. That they were a cult. And in fact, not only that, but Celtech literally means the killing technology, the killing tech, the technology to kill. And so the cult of the Scottish Rite wearing the kilt says that they got the technology to kill. So let's ask us something about this. These secret societies. Are they using technology to kill today? Are the secret societies killing us with technology? Are they using, are they poisoning our skies? Are they poisoning our food? Are they poisoning the injections? Are they poisoning our minds with their phony words? Are they not poisoning us using technology? The Scottish Rite, Celtic for the Vatican priesthood, all men wearing dresses, including Islam, men wearing dresses, you see, the technology to kill. Well, they invented Islam, okay, through the Vatican. And that is the ultimate technology of killing right there. Can't get over it. So in the word, they are cults. They're the cults. And then they would want to call somebody who is, following Yeshua a cult, right? Unless you're the mainstream, mainstream, whatever that means. Baskin Robbins, 600 flavors. Which one do you want? They're not cults. No, of course they're not cults. Only those who want to follow the true Yeshua Het Mashiach, the Moshiach K. Then you'd be labeled as a cult by them. Of course, you'd be labeled as a cult by a cult. Of course you would. So, but get the picture, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it's they're the merchants. The Celtic cross was used to navigate the high seas. Continuing here on the words they killed us with, then Brahm. Okay, Brahm is Abram. Okay, but we also find in there the word Brahman, you see, and that's a connection with the original meaning. It's just because we would want nothing to do with India and the Brahmin priesthood, it doesn't mean that the word does not have bearing or relevance. We need to look into the word. And actually, I realized, of course, with the B being a corruption, it's not Abram, but it's Avram in the simple corrupted form, Avram. But if the A is totally silent, as it's implied with the first letter of the alphabet as well, then it's also Viram, the Viram. And that is the pure essence in the symbolic nature of the title of Abraham. It means the breath of the many. Okay? It's in the Real Da Vinci Code Dictionary with the definition that Abraham is also the breath of the many. Now let's ask the question, is it the breath of the many? Well, aren't we still speaking about it today, 3,500 years later or more? 3,600 years ago was Abraham, right? And we're still talking about him today, so I guess he is the breath of the many, right? But also the Viram, when we get back to the original form and the original symbol, the breath of light comes down, right? That's the breath of the many. It's for everybody. The breath of light is for everybody. And so the original of Abraham is the Viram. The A is silent. The A is in front of it, but it's not talking. That's why nobody notices the primordial origin of our light and what it means in symbolic form. But it is the Viram, and the Ram is the sun. And the V is the power of that light that comes down to give us creation. And just like Love was reading, how in the elements, then it ultimately becomes corrupted. But it comes down in a pure form. So Viram also means the way of the ram's eye, the way of the ram's eye, and the breath of the many. Okay? So there you go. A power word. That is a power word. And so that's why the Brahm take it on as well, the Brahmin priesthood, because they know the meaning of it. And they said if they would stop their priesthood, that the universe itself would collapse. Give me a break. If the Brahmin would go away, we'd be doing real good. But so they're saying that they control the universe because of their religious state. Okay, so we're in just one page of the piracy of words. Motor vehicle, commercial transport. You don't have a motor vehicle. You have a conveyance. If you have what we call an automobile, okay, it's a conveyance. It's not a car. Oh, well, you know what I'm saying. It's not a vehicle. That's the terminology. That's commercial. And 2, riding with friends who are determined to be passengers, not freight nor passengers, because you're a guest. If you're in somebody's car, you're not a passenger. You're not paying a fare. You're not in commerce, and therefore you are a guest. But by commercial pirates and highwaymen, they want the money, and so they're going to give you a fine for not having a license or what have you. That's the way the game is played. See, driving, hadn't found Kansas yet. Still looking. The bridge has already been sold. No place like America. What a countries. And then mud, defined as sin in the Babylonian Masonic Talmud. So so Talmud, you know what happens if you put mud in your eye? Well, there's where we get the mud for the Masonic mortarboard that's on your head when you graduate from the Talmud, of course. And mud is defined as sin because it's covering your eyes. You can't see. Isn't that what Yeshua did? In fact, with one of the guys that he healed his eyes, it said that he took some dirt from the ground, he spit in it, and made some mud, and he put it in his eyes, and he told him to go wash, and when he washed the mud out of his eyes, he could see. Whoa, I think we've got a direct parallel right here. And 2, dumb backwards. Mud is dumb backwards. Yeah, just add the B, but you don't need the B to say dumb. Mud, M-U-D, D-U-M, backwards is dumb. Okay? An anagram. So see, mortarboard, mud in your eyes, Talmudic guidebook for the dominating of the world. Must is mast, literally mother star, abbreviated term. See, shall for shallow, and shout for salt. So a myth is the rays of mythos hold on to the keys of power to open up and to close every sacred door. Okay, the myth. So the myth is, we get the impression that myth is a bad word. They use it that way, but it's not. A myth is your history. It is your spirituality all rolled into one. The science, the spiritual. It's all in the myth. It implies my story in that sense as well. So fallacy, it means something false. And there's your phallus, the fallacy. It's the phoniness of the illusion. Okay? And letter N, which we've talked about here. 1, an esoteric symbol for that which came down. That's the prime sliding board, the capital N. And 2, a royal symbol because it is doubled at high noon and also in the word moon. So high noon and moon, you got the 2 N's right there looking at you. Is also expressive of the opposite energies, of the polarities of yin and yang. And so man is correctly spelled M-A-N-N, as it is in the German originally. And so an M is split 2 N's. And so it's telling a story, and we have to get the picture because it will take us back to our primordial root. In the primary symbol of creation of the sun, the logo, the word of life, a symbol of the fall as in every evening, and of a new star as a nova. See the 2 O's for the sun and moon with both their energies coming down. And then when we pick it up in the Pirate Sea again, we'll be in names. And name is, you don't want a name because it's in the mud, and it is at the lowest point of creation. You want title, and you want to get back title to who you are. And that's what we're trying to do here on the Forbidden History series, ladies and gentlemen, is get back, not to Kansas, but back to the light of the sun. Okay? So, I wanted to give you a tip out of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. Okay? A health tip because it's very important and it's good knowledge. Okay? So this is what my segment is for today in the Real Da Vinci Code. Our very sacred custom and usage, contributors welcome here. Health tips, burn or burns. Read it now before you need it. Very impressive. Why did we ever not hear of this before? I always just run it under cold water, under a tap, right? This is a woman's experience with burns. Some time ago, I was cooking some corn and stuck my fork in the boiling water to see if the corn was ready. I missed and my hand went into the boiling water. A friend of mine who was a Vietnam veteran came into the house just as I was screaming and asked me if I had some plain old flour. I pulled out a bag and he stuck my hand in the flour. He told me to keep my hand in the flour for 10 minutes, which I did. He said that in Vietnam there was a guy on fire, and in their panic they threw a bag of flour all over him to put the fire out. Well, it not only put the fire out, but he never even had a blister. Okay? Never even had a blister. Long story short, I put my hand in the bag of flour for 10 minutes, pulled it out, and did not even have a red mark or a blister, and absolutely no pain. Now I keep a bag of flour in the refrigerator, and every time I burn myself, cold flour feels even better than room temperature flour. I use the flour and have never once had ever had even a red spot or burn mark or blister. I even burned my tongue once and put flour on it for about 10 minutes, and the pain was gone and no burn. That's a good idea then when you're eating pizza, right? You know how you always get burned by the oil of the pizza? Try it and experience a miracle. Keep a bag of flour in your fridge and you will be happy you did. By the way, don't run your burn under the cold water first. Just put it directly into the flour for 10 minutes. It really works. I needed it one day myself. And that's my quote, because I've tried it, okay? I've done it. And so definitely I keep a bag of flour in the refrigerator just in case, all right? So that's a little health tip for you today from the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. And anybody who wants a copy, don't forget, just go to therealpublicradio.net, therealpublicradio.net, and you can, any size donation, I'll get you that 300-page, 8.5 by 11 book. And if you don't have the money, I will get you the book anyway. So let's see. Well, okay, we're winding down. We're at the end of the program here. The history of the church with Eusebius. And where did I leave off? Okay, what's my note doing there? I think, oh, here it is. Okay, up at the top. So we're in Josephus and the writings he left, his allusions to the sacred books. Besides all, and that is written by, of course, Eusebius, who took the entire library of Caesarea, Syria, up into Turkey to Constantinople at the orders of Constantine, who wasn't so great, and therefore we lost our entire library of spiritual writings, ladies and gentlemen. So besides all of this, it is well that the origin and ancestry of Josephus himself, who has provided so much material for this present history, should be generally known. He furnishes this information himself. I, Josephus, son of Matthias, am a priest from Jerusalem. In the early stages, I myself fought against the Romans, and of the latter events I was an unwilling witness. Of the Judeans at the time, so we're still talking about the siege on Jerusalem in 60 and 70 AD, okay? Of the Judeans at that time, he was the most famous, not only among his fellow countrymen, but among the Romans too, so that he was honored with the erection of a statue in the city of Rome, and the labors of his pen found a place in the library. So he went full-blown into idolatry, didn't he? To think he would allow a statue made of himself. That's how Israel went, ladies and gentlemen. That is the reason it is no more Israel. Only pseudo-Israel, pretend Israel. Never was, never can be. He has set out the whole of the ancient Hebrew history in 20 books, and the story of the Roman war of his own day in 7. The latter work he committed not only to Greek, but also to his native tongue, as he himself declares. And in view of his general truthfulness, we may accept this. Two other worthwhile books of his are extant, entitled The Antiquity of the Hebrews, his reply to Apion, the grammarian, who had recently published an attack on the Hebrews, and to others who had made similar attempts to misrepresent the ancestral custom of the Hebrew people. Oh, they wouldn't do that, would they? To misrepresent the ancestral customs of the Hebrew people? To be pretenders? In the first of these, he gives the number of the canonical scriptures forming the Old Covenant, and it is called showing which of them are undisputed among the Hebrews as being backed by ancient tradition. We do not have a vast number of books discordant and conflicting, but only 22. There's your number of perfection again. Containing the record of all time, and with reason believed to be divine. Of these, 5 books are of Moshe'el, and Moshe'el never wrote these books. They're put together in Babylon, okay? Because they lost their culture, lost their library, had to regroup, and used parts of the northern and southern kingdom to do that. Containing the laws and the tradition of the origin of mankind upon his death. This period covers nearly 3,000 years, from Moshe'el's death to that of Artaxerxes, who followed Xerxes as king of Persia. The prophets, after Moshe'el, recorded the events of their own time in 13 books. The remaining 4 contain hymns to Yahweh and precepts for earthly conduct. From Artaxerxes to the present day, the whole story has been written down, but does not command the same conviction as the earlier narrative, because there was not an unbroken succession of the navigators. That's a correct word for prophets, navigators. They knew the way back home. It is evident from our actions what is our attitude to our own scriptures. For though so many centuries have gone by, no one has presumed to add, take away, or alter anything in them. Give me a break. Are you kidding me? You're that naive, Eusebius, right? But it is innate in every Judean from the day of his birth to regard them as the ordinance of Yahweh, to abide in them, and if need be, to die for them gladly. This quotation from the historian is obvious value. He produced yet another work of considerable merit, and by the way, that was written by somebody who was pseudo-Israel and not real Israel, okay, Josephus, because Israel was done away with in 730 BC, and Judah 200 years later, and what came back was the Babylonian Talmud and a supplanter serpent, okay, and so this quotation from the historian is of obvious value. He published yet another work of considerable merit, The Supremacy of Reason, entitled Maccabees by some, because it deals with the struggles of those Hebrews who, as related in the books bearing the same title, Maccabees, fought to manfully for the worship of Almighty God. I'll just use their terminology, and that's probably what's called Fourth Maccabees, where a mother and her 8 sons and their father Eleazar were tortured to death by Antiochus Epiphanes, one of the 4 generals who took over after the death of Alexander the Great, and he took over Palestine, whereas Ptolemy took over Mitzrayim, pseudo-Egypt. And at the end of book 20 of Antiquities, he announces that he has decided to write a book in 4 books on the traditional following of the Judeans about Yahweh and his nature, and about the reasons why the laws permit certain things and forbid others. Other books already published are also referred to in his surviving works. Finally, it would be appropriate to reproduce the words attached to the end of Antiquities and so confirm the declaration of the passages I have borrowed from him. In impugning the historical accuracy of Justus of Tiberias, who had attempted to record the events of the same period as himself, after bringing many other charges against him, he adds the following. I had no such apprehensions as yourself with regard to what I myself had written. I submitted to work the emperors themselves when the events had hardly passed out of sight, for conscious that I had observed absolute truthfulness in my account, I expected to receive testimony to my accuracy and was not disappointed. I also submitted my history to many others, some of whom had actually seen service in the war, including King Agrippa and several of his relations. For the Emperor Titus was so anxious that from my work alone should men derive their knowledge of the events, that he wrote with his own hand in order for its publication, while King Agrippa wrote 62 letters testifying to the truthfulness of my account. 2 of these letters he quotes, and there we may leave Josephus and go on to the next stage. After the martyrdom of James and the capture of Jerusalem, which instantly followed, there is a firm tradition that those of the Royal Malek, the aka apostles, and the truth seekers, the Meitzarim, or the Mathaim, of also known as disciples of the Lord. I'll just try to use his words here. I like to transliterate because I don't like to use the pagan terms, and it's a work, those who were still alive assembled from all parts together with those who, humanly speaking, were kinsmen of our healer and pure breather of light. For most of them were still living. Then they all discussed together whom they should choose as fit individual to succeed Yaakov, James, and voted unanimously that Shimon, the son of Cleophas, mentioned in our star message narrative, gospel narrative, and a fit individual to occupy the throne of Jerusalem. See, he was, so it is said, a cousin of the Shavor, the Savior, for Hegesippus tells us that Cleophas was Joseph's brother. Hegesippus also records that after the capture of Jerusalem, Vespasian issued an order that to ensure that no member of the royal house should be left among the Judeans, all descendants of David should be ferreted out, and that this resulted in a further widespread persecution of the Judeans. When Vespasian had reigned for 10 years, he was succeeded by as emperor by his son Titus. In the second year of Titus's reign, Leonus, bishop of Rome, after holding his office for 12 years, yielded it to Anacletius. Titus was succeeded by his brother Domitian after reigning for 2 years and as many months. In the 4th year, Domitian, the 5th bishop of Alexandria, Annaeus, after completing 22 years, passed away and was succeeded by the 2nd, Avilius. In the 12th year of the same principate, Anacletius, after 12 years as bishop of Rome, was succeeded by Clement, who is described by the royal Malek apostles in his letter to the Philippians as a fellow worker with Clement and the rest of my fellow workers whose names are written in the book of life. We're quoting Paul, of course. Clement has left us one recognized letter. No, actually 2. Actually more than that, but they're being hidden away. I've got at least 2 of them. Actually, I think I've got about 3 of them. Long and Wonderful, which is he composed in the name of the church at Rome and sent to the church at Corinth, where dissension had recently occurred. I have evidence that in many churches this letter was read aloud to the assembled worshippers in early days as in our own, that it was in Clement's time that the dissension at Corinth broke out. It is plain from the testimony of Hegesippus. And when we continue next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be reading Domitian's persecution, and he's the other son of Vespasian, Flavius Vespasian, who all destroyed Jerusalem once and for all, and John the Apostle, our Savior's relatives. Coming up tomorrow, right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. and I'm in the zone. Okay, I feel like I'm breathing a lot of ozone. It's quite a work. It's a walk, and we were told to make our calling and election sure, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank you for tuning in, for telling your friends, for being a part of a very historical presentation, because what we have here is the original thought, the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. Thank you, Lynn, Liz, Jenny, all of you wonderful friends, and live forever. Okay, that's the objective here. Live forever. Make your calling and election sure. The days are dark, but we embrace the light, and we need to be fully clothed in the light. Lydia, thank you. Okay, and so don't forget, I'm Desert Owl telling you, if you want to know the future, then you just need to look for the forbidden history, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. And special thank you to Ya Love for her wonderful read. Thank you, Martha. All those wonderful hearts. You all have big hearts. Mew Mew and Jenny as well, everybody. And any of our new listeners who listen to the recording for now and in the future, however far it makes it. Our days are short. Let's make the most of them. Time is short, precious. And Skywatchers, keep looking up, but do watch the sun. Use protection. Higher Truth Channel has great information on how you can protect yourself. Okay? Peace and love. And the enlightenment. Of course. I'm glad I found all of you, Martha. Yeah, it's a mutual thing. The great Father of Light breathes, and he brings people together for common fellowship and the need. I need to share, and there's no greater friends to share it with than all of you out there. So we'll look for you tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. Be there, be square, as they say. You don't want that mortarboard on your head, I'm telling you. You got mud in your eye. We'll see you.